Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Dialogue 440. The disciple asks, without logic, without learned terminology, please instruct me the way to the bliss of the self. Let it be of Guru's grace only. Sri Bhagavan replies, have a clear idea of your requirement. Who seeks to gain what? Then ask the method. The disciple said, bliss manifests occasionally, but I am unable to describe it. At times there is illumination, but is it the reality? If so, how to make it permanent? The method must be simple. Please make it clear without logic, learned discussions, or mystifying words. Bhagavan remained silent. Another visitor asked, please tell me which is the most efficacious of all the methods. For example, prayer to God, Guru Anugraha, that is, Master's grace, concentration of mind, etc. Sri Bhagavan replied, the one is the consequence of the other. Each of them leads to the next stage. They form a continuous whole. God, Guru, and the Self are not different. They are one and the same. Therefore, the methods offer no choice. Sri Bhagavan's first answer was this: have a clear idea of your requirement. Who seeks to gain what? Then ask the method. This requires some discrimination. One must first discern what the goal is, and then one is able to grasp what the means or practice is. Indeed, the discrimination used to discern such as the first step is the answer to the question. Who seeks to gain what? What signifies the reality? What is the nature of reality? Who means you? What is yourself? The self itself is the Guru and the grace spoken of by the disciple. Have a clear idea of your requirement. Who seeks to gain what? Then ask the method. Is what you seek apart from you? If not, then how to seek it? Who are you? And what is it that you're attempting to realize? Such discrimination, such inquiry, is the method that is being asked for. The disciple evidently did not fully grasp the response. And so after first mentioning his experiences, says, the method must be simple. Please make it clear without logic, learned discussions, or mystifying words. And the Maharshi gave no answer. Or rather, he gave the supreme answer in silence. For silence transcends logic, learned discussions, mystifying words. The silence is also a commentary on the approach by the disciple. For it is not up to the disciple to decide how truth is to be taught. That is for the Guru to know. If that humility were present steadily, the words would no longer appear mystifying, and the reasonableness of truth would far transcend any logic. The next questioner asks, please tell me which is the most efficacious of all the methods. For example, prayer to God, Guru Anugraha, the Master's grace, concentration of mind, etc. And Sri Bhagavan compassionately explains, saying, the one is the consequence of the other. The consequence of prayer to God is the experience of the Guru's grace. The experience of such grace naturally endows one with concentration of mind, etc. Each of them leads to the next stage. They form a continuous whole. Then why this is so? He explains further. God, Guru, and the Self are not different. They are one and the same. Therefore, the methods offer no choice. The methods offer no choice because of the egolessness of their nature. God, Guru, and the Self are not different. They are one and the same. One and the same thing is called God, Guru, and the Self. This can be understood only by egoless discrimination. God is the Guru, and God is the Self. The Guru is God, and the Guru is the Self. The Self is God, and the Self is Guru. A God that is not the Self. How could that be? A guru who is not the self. How could that be? A self that is not the self. How could that be? Who the guru truly is none other than God, and that God is the self. Whether it's prayer to God, surrendering to the guru, or inquiring to know the self, the diminishing or elimination of the ego is key. Therefore, the methods offer no choice. The truth is one. The path is one. .441. Mr. Panalal, a high government official from Allahabad, with his wife, a highly cultured lady, and Mr. Brijnarayan, a retired judge, were on a visit for a week. The night previous to their departure, they wanted to have their doubt cleared. Their doubt was, we had a great sage for our guru. He advised us to take the name of Hari, saying that it is all in all. No effort is necessary for concentrating the mind. Concentration will come of itself if Harinam is persisted in. So we are doing it. The Guru passed away. We felt like a rudderless ship in mid-ocean. In our anxiety to find a safe guide, we read and heard of you and so desired to come here. Our desire has been fulfilled after 2 years longing. On coming here and hearing Sri Bhagavan, we understand that the Master teaches Atma Vichara, self-quest. This is the method of knowledge, Jnana Marga, whereas the other Master taught us Bhakti Marga, method of devotion. What shall we do now? Are we to give up the other method and take to this new method? If once we change, shall we not change many times more according to the masters we meet? What progress can be made by such frequent changes? Please remove this doubt and bless us. The Master referred the gentleman to an article in the September number of Vision, a monthly journal issued by the Ananda Ashram in Kanahangad. Philosophy of the Divine Name according to Sant Namdev. The name permeates the entire universe densely. Who can tell to what depths in the nether regions and to what height in the heaven it extends? The ignorant fools undergo the 84 lakhs of species of births, not knowing the essence of things. The name is immortal. Forms are innumerable, but name is all that. The name itself is form, and form itself is name. There is no distinction between name and form. God became manifest and assumed name and form. Hence the nature, hence the name the Vedas have established. Beware, there is no mantra beyond the name. Those who say otherwise are ignorant fools. Name is Keshava himself. This is known only to the loving devotees of the Lord. The all-pervading nature of the name can only be understood when one recognizes his own I. When one's own name is not recognized, it is impossible to get the all-pervading name. When one knows oneself, then one finds the name everywhere. None can realize the name by the practice of knowledge, meditation, or austerity. Surrender yourself at first at the feet of the Guru and learn to know who the I in you is. After finding the source of that I, merge your individuality in that oneness, which is self-existent and devoid of all duality. It is that name that permeates the three worlds. The name is Paramatma itself, where there is no action arising out of Dvaita, duality. This wonderful explanation must have satisfied the visitors. It undermines entirely the basis of their doubt, their concern. January 8th, 1938. While explaining a stanza of his own, Sri Bhagavan observed, "The sun illumines the universe, whereas the sun of Arunachala is so blazing that the universe is obscured and an unbroken brilliance remains. But it is not realized in the present state and can be realized only if the lotus of the heart blossoms. The ordinary lotus blossoms in the light of the visible sun, whereas the subtle heart blossoms only before the sun of suns. May Arunachala make my heart blossom, so that his unbroken brilliance may shine all alone." Further on, Sri Bhagavan continues, the mirror reflects objects, yet they are not real because they cannot remain apart from the mirror. Similarly, the world is said to be a reflection in the mind, as it does not remain in the absence of mind. The question arises, if the universe is a reflection, there must be a real object known as the universe. In order that it might be reflected in the mind. This amounts to an admission of the existence of an objective universe. Truly speaking, it is not so. Therefore, the dream illustration is set forth. The dream world has no objective existence. How then is it created? Some mental impressions should be admitted. They are called vasanas. How were the vasanas in the mind? The answer is they were subtle. Just as a whole tree is contained potentially in a seed, so the world is in the mind. Then it is asked, a seed is the product of the tree which must have existed once in order that it may be reproduced. So the world also must have been there some time. The answer is no. There must have been several incarnations to gather the impressions, which are remanifested in the present form. I must have existed before as I do now. The straight way to find an answer will be to see if the world is there. Admitting the existence of the world, I must admit a seer who is no other than myself. Let me find myself so that I may know the relation between the world and the seer. When I seek the self and abide as the self, there is no world to be seen. What is the reality then? The seer only, and certainly not the world. Such being the truth, the man continues to argue on the basis of the reality of the world. Whoever asks him to accept a brief for the world? Yoga Vasishta clearly defines liberation as the abandonment of the false and remaining as being. What is the light that illumines the universe, and even more so, causes the universe to vanish in its brilliance? What is that light? That is the true significance of Arunachala. Though the reality is of the nature of all-consuming light, it is not realized in the present state. And it said it will be realized only if the lotus of the heart blossoms. What is the lotus of the heart? It is not an object. It is the essence of your being. When it shines forth in all its glorious nature, unobscured, one is said to have realized the truth. He calls such heart a lotus that blooms before the sun of suns. What is the light of all lights? And then he says, prayerfully, may Arunachala make my heart blossom, so that his unbroken brilliance may shine all alone. Infinite light, eternal light, unbroken, uninterrupted. Of what light is he speaking? It is the brilliant nature of one's own being, that is, pure consciousness. If realized as it is, it shines all alone, one without a second. Continuing, he said, a mirror reflects objects, yet they are not real because they cannot remain apart from the mirror. The analogy is simple to understand. Similarly, the world is said to be a reflection in the mind, as it does not remain in the absence of the mind. The mind is like the mirror. The entire world of objectified experience is only a reflection in the mirror. The reflections are not real. They have no separate substance. They have no independent existence. So it is with all that is objectively perceived in the world. If the mirror is removed, the reflections are not there because they had no separate existence. If the mind is removed, the world is not there, but the world does not have an independent existence. Hearing this instruction, a doubt could arise. It would be, if the universe is a reflection, there must be a real object known as the universe. In order that it might be reflected in the mind. This amounts to an admission of the existence of an objective universe. Truly speaking, it is not so. In the case of a physical mirror, there must be an object external to the mirror, the reflection of which appears in the mirror. That is not what the mirror analogy is meant to convey in Vedanta. The doubt would be, if that is indeed the case, then the world would have to have some separate existence to be reflected in the mind, which amounts to saying that the world really exists. Sri Bhagavan's response to the doubt is, truly speaking, it is not so. How is it not so? Another analogy is set forth to explain. Therefore, the dream illustration is set forth. The dream world has no objective existence. How then is it created? Some mental impressions should be admitted. They are called vasanas. The dream world is entirely unreal. It appears, the world of the dream appears in the mind without having any objective existence whatsoever. It is created by tendencies in the mind. They are called vasanas. How were the vasanas in the mind? The answer is they were subtle. Just as a whole tree is contained potentially in a seed, so the world is in the mind. The world is nothing but a dream. It seems to come forth in the dream with great dimension, etc. But it is really nothing, occupying no time and space whatsoever. How can something so subtle, the tendencies of the mind, appear as a world, seemingly solid, in a dream? It is like a tree that is contained in a seed, in potential form. In this manner, the world is in the mind. How subtle is the seed? Very subtle. In fact, so subtle the attempt to measure it destroys it. Then it is asked, a further doubt. A seed is the product of the tree, which must have existed once in order that it may be reproduced. So the world also must have been there some time. The answer is no. Continuing with the doubt, there must have been several incarnations to gather the impressions which are remanifested in the present form. I must have existed before as I do now. The straight way to find an answer will be to see if the world is there. Admitting the existence of the world, I must admit a seer who is no other than myself. All of the seen, however and whatever manner it is seen, only helps to further prove the existence of the seer, and not that of the seen. You must have existed before as you do now, for no one can recall a beginning to their existence. Let me find myself so that I may know the relation between the world and the seer. This is the direct path. When I seek the self and abide as the self, there is no world to be seen. Thus the world is only illusory, merely the product of imagination or ignorance. It has no other substance. It is based on the wrong conception of the self. When the self is realized as the self of the seer of all that is seen, no world is to be seen. What is the reality then? The seer only, and certainly not the world. Sri Bhagavan continues, such being the truth, the man continues to argue on the basis of the reality of the world. Whoever asked him to accept a brief for the world? You need not support the existence of a pseudo-world. Your orientation should be to seek the reality of the self. With the realization of the birthless and deathless self, no creation is also realized. Finally, he says, Yoga Vasishta clearly defines liberation as the abandonment of the false and remaining as being.
I recently finished reading the Yoga Vasishta for the second time, and this goes on throughout the entire book. 700-800 pages plus of Rama asking him various questions, sort of like the Dakshinamurti situation with the four sages, where he talks for an entire year and they still have questions. And in both cases, the final answer is, let's just stop talking about what's not real and go for what is real. And I think I finally understand what he's talking about there. But it's like he's saying you can spend forever with these arguments if you want to, but why bother? It's not going to take you anywhere.
The analogies were originally given by way of instruction to reveal the reality and not be taken as a means to continue carrying on with the limiting concepts of the unreal. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramana. Shanti.